My Little Compilation, written by Viper Freaks. Twilight's Ordeal.
In the map room of Friendship Castle, Twilight Sparkle was pacing back and forth with a nervous look on her face. It had been 3 months since she accidentally brought a creature from another dimension to Equestria by means of an experimental portal spell that had gone horribly wrong. The creature was sapient and was able to understand and talk with her. It told her that its species were called human and that it was a male, but not before going slightly crazy as he learned about talking ponies. He almost hit a depression when she told him that there was a possibility of him never being able to return to his own world. So Twilight had to comfort him the best way she could by saying she would do everything within her power to find a way to send him home. In the first few weeks, she learned all about him and his world, and in return, she told him everything about her and Equestria. The rest of the months seemed to pass by rather quickly as she worked tirelessly on a way to send him back, with him always there by her side for when she needed his help, making their friendship bond grow stronger with every passing day. But Twilight felt something else grow stronger as well. Every time he touched her, her heart would skip a beat. Every time he talked, she barely heard what he was saying with his beautiful voice. Every time he complimented her, she felt really warm inside. All of this seemed to make the feeling more present with the amount of time spent with him, also making it sting every time he left her side, even if it was for a mere moment. Twilight tried to look it up in many of her books and studied many manuscripts to see what the feeling meant, but couldn't find anything that could tell her what it was or what it could mean. So whenever she had some time left, she conducted some experiments on her own with what she felt by asking herself a few questions.
Question 1. When did the feeling first occur? About a month after meeting my new friend. Question 2. What does this feeling do? Well, it makes me feel happy when I'm around him and never want to part from his side. Question 3.
This continued on. One time, she even stopped seeing him for a day just to see what it did. It made her sick to her stomach. But even after all that, she still couldn't say what this feeling was and was on the verge of a mental breakdown because of it. It wasn't until a week ago that she found out what it was. She had fallen asleep behind her desk when going over her findings, only to awaken slightly as she felt her body move up and down at a steady rate. Opening one eye, she saw that her friend was carrying her within his strong arms. Twilight looked up at his face, and she saw him looking down at her with a smile on his face, and the feeling let itself be known by tenfold. She then knew what it was. It was love. She was in love with him. She was in love with the human she accidentally brought to Equestria, and it felt great. Only, how could she know about his feelings for her? She should ask him, but how? She was finally brave enough to ask him and asked him if he would come over for a talk. That night was tonight. She was therefore pacing in the map room, a million thoughts running through her head.
How will I tell him? Should I tell him straight up? Or build up to it? Should.
A knock at the door stopped Twilight's thoughts in their tracks, swallowing a sudden lump in her throat.
Come in.
She managed to say, feeling her legs get jittery as the door opened. Twilight felt warm inside as her crush walked into the room with the smile she loved on his face when he asked her why she wanted to see him.
Well, I...
Twilight stammered, getting more nervous as her still secret crush stood so close to her. She closed her eyes and took in a deep breath.
I'm in love with you and was hoping to be your special sun pony.
She blurted out in one breath, clenching her eyes shut as she readied herself for his response. But he remained quiet. Twilight thought she would get at least some response from him, laughing, yelling, telling her she was crazy for loving him. Yet he stayed quiet for a minute, though it felt like hours. Twilight felt tears forming in her eyes.
Maybe he's so quiet because he's disgusted by the thought of him being with me in that manner.
But she suddenly felt limbs wrap around her frame, something soft press against her lips. Her eyes snapped open at the sudden feeling, seeing that she was being kissed by him, making all incoherent thoughts disappear as she returned the kiss with passion. After a few moments, she pulled back from the kiss too early for her liking, and smiled at him whilst giving him a sultry gaze.
So, I'll take that as a yes?
He could only smile sheepishly, and nodded.
Does that mean you want to stay with me in Equestria?
Twilight asked hopefully. He could only give one firm nod, for as he did, he was immediately tackled by the purple alicorn and deeply kissed by her. She broke the kiss a second time to look at him.
You've made me the luckiest mare in Equestria.
She lovingly stated before they kissed again.